Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some coverage that's coming out of Japan in regards to the SBI Holdings shareholder meeting and XRP. There is also some information to share with you on a pre-meeting for the G20 that took place in Fukuoka yesterday, which was Saturday in Japan. And then I'm going to give you kind of a deep overview. Sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Of the XRP use, the price, and the volume, and something very interesting I found with Moneygram Ripple in Thailand. Okay, so first, let's talk about Mr. Kitao. And this is really interesting because the coverage is a lot of the same coverage that I talked about 2 days ago, which is when he went off script. When Mr. Kitao goes off script, it's always kind of fun because his passion shines through. And he did just that, as I had mentioned, in the 1 hour and 55-minute mark. And he talks specifically about how they plan to develop this remittance business all over the world, as in completely all over the world. And for DLT, XRP will be the money to be exchanged around the world faster and at a lower cost using this cryptographic asset called XRP. And he emphasizes this use of XRP because he really does see XRP as a global liquidity standard. That's not me talking. Those are his words. You know, in 2016, you have to remember he formed the SBI Ripple Asia entity. And in 2016, there were no banks backing up this digital asset. And the fact that he's been able to also bring this consortium of banks together that represent some 80% of the country's banking volume is really quite astonishing. And Japan has the third largest economy in the world. So you're looking at, he's been able to harness a lot of power through his leadership. Now, this is not hype. This is what I'm going to give you in regards to the facts. He was born in 1951. He graduated from Keio University. Keio is the #1 private university here in Tokyo. Actually, in all of Japan, it just happens to be in Tokyo. It's the oldest private university at that. He graduated from the economics department in 1975. He then went on to the University of Cambridge in England and graduated in economics. When he came, well, he worked in London for a year from 1989 to, or 2 years, 1989 to 1991. And then when he came back, he worked for Nomura Securities as a division manager. That occurred from 92 to 95. Then this is where he really stepped into the big world and the big leagues of finance. He became the CEO of the SoftBank Investment Division. That was in 1999. SoftBank is ranked globally 88 in the world, and they have a market cap of 112 billion. In regards to their assets, they rank number 36. They are a powerhouse of a company. So he took a very small investment from Mr. Son-san, who gave him the means to get started with less than $1 million. And he has been able to build SBI now, ranking 658 in the world in regards to the assets. And he's also gone public. He's on the first section of the Tokyo Stock Exchange. This is the blue chip stocks here in Japan. He has also created a bank, many banks actually in many countries, but I want to talk about the one bank that he first started, which also Sumitomo, the second largest bank in Japan, partnered in a 50-50 share. And they are, not only the second largest bank in Japan, they are the 15th largest bank in the world. So that's the kind of partnerships that he is creating And he has also built the #1 securities trading platform in Japan. So when you say he's just a small guy like a regional bank, no, I'm sorry, he's not. And he's in the middle of growing a liquidity market now that has grown threefold in the last year for the customers. So I just want to remind everybody that Mr. Kitao is an amazing partner, and as a new member of the Ripple board, and that's only been a couple of weeks now, I think you're going to see some of his connections and his expertise and his drive. Absolutely. Just watch the video at that 1 hour, 55-minute mark, and you will see he is able to go off script so easy when he talks about XRP because of his vision. All right, so moving right along here. On to, this is a really great video. This is a video that Japan put together for the world for the G20 Osaka summit that happens on the 28th and 29th of this month. Let me just check my calendar. Yes. So they had a pre-meeting yesterday, and it was an international taxation symposium. The ministers of the G20 and the central bank governors got together with a main theme of the digital taxation for global IT companies. And Mr. Aso, who is the ex-prime minister of Japan and now also a cabinet member, he's the right-hand man to the current prime minister, they are really going after GAFA, or at least they're trying to. That is the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. And Mr. also believes that these 4 companies evade tax by transferring profits to regions and countries with low tax rates. So he wants to see something addressed in regards to the G20 meeting, getting some changes in that area. Now, in terms of virtual currencies, they are going to discuss how cryptographic assets can bring significant benefits to the financial system and wider economy. This is great. I can't wait to see some of the final talking points to that. They're also going to address the investor protection. They're going to also have dialogue on the concerns of using crypto assets as a sovereign currency. I think there's some concern about the Marshall Islands because they are very close to dropping the dollar and adopting a virtual currency for their sovereign currency. There's also going to be some discussions on the multilateral monitoring of risk and also the implementation of a standard, an FATF standard to address money laundering. All right, so there you go. That's a really nice video. I know if you're watching some of my fluff, you're going to say, oh, I know about that. Oh, I remember seeing that. So I'll put a link to this down in the description below. Okay, moving along. This is a gentleman who is on Twitter, and I happened to see that he posted something very interesting. It was actually a DNS, domain name server entry, for a website that points to the Ripple.com website. And that company is actually a money transfer company called D-Money, and they are in Thailand. They are licensed by the Bank of Thailand. This is the central bank in Thailand. So it is very curious that you've got the Central Bank of Thailand given a special license to D-Money. They gave this special license recently. This company is has only been launched since July 2018, and you can see that they partnered with Moneygram for global distribution, and they also leveraged the direct partnerships for countries outside of the Moneygram network to ensure customers can send money to 16 countries as swiftly and easily as possible. So I am quite, you can see here, let's see if I can show you about the special license they got from the central bank. No, it's not really readily available, but I'll put a link to this. You can find it here, they got this special license to do this, and that makes it really curious. Now, let's look at the code of this DNS entry. All right, here is the client IP address. Unfortunately, when we put it in, it's a private IP address. It's on purpose to evade detection. So we don't know where this exactly, the client address is ending up. But the URL tells us many things. So if you put in this HTTP address here, it is still current. You'll get it to come up live in the text that it is pointing to the ripple.com website. So it is in an XC test code. What this is a framework to write unit tests for Xcode projects, and it uses a Swift language. No, not the Swift company that does messaging, but it's a general purpose programming language that was developed by Apple for iOS, Mac, Linux, etc. So it obviously is in some sort of test mode, I'm going to guess, with Ripple using the D-Money transfer system in Thailand. The server tells us a little bit also. This is an NGINX server. That kind of server is a really powerful server. It's a high-performance HTTP server that is used for companies like Netflix, Pinterest, Airbnb, GitHub, for example. It's specially designed for high visibility sites because of its performance and stability. So we know that this website is in that league. And so, I just want to say that there is a lot going on the backside that we really don't hear about. We did hear from Ripple just yesterday with the new Ripple drop, and they talk about liquidity. This is Kevin Mole on the left, and he is being interviewed quickly. These are very, very small snippets of information, but they talk about that the corridor between Philippines and Mexico is just the first of many corridors that will open this year. So I think when we take a look at one of those public XRP pools here on Bitso, I want to show you something that's interesting. This is all about volume, and we have seen some increased volume. If I can get my computer to show this, let's see, maybe I have to reload it. Let's try. This is the XRP volume on Bitso, and Bitso is providing that XRP. It's unresponsive, so maybe I can wait. Let's try. I'll try one more time. If it doesn't come up, I'll just explain verbally what I saw. I took a 3-month view, and the volume for XRP has significantly increased. And this is something I'm just not going to be able to get it to come up. I will put a link to this. It could be, I'm not sure why, but I can tell you that it is really, no, it's just not going to work for me. Sorry. It has really spiked in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to keep moving on, because what I really want to point out here is, I'm going to just shut this one down because it's not being responsive. What I really want to point out is that, yes, there is a lot going on, and we haven't really heard too much about the partnerships. In the report about the first quarter of the year, we learned that there were 13 new Ripple partners, and 5 of which were using XRP, the digital asset. And I think that it was also made very clear that they are signing up 2 to 3 new customers every week. So that means that we should have, 15 or 20 new customers, but really we've only heard a handful, and that's like RIA, which is very, very big. They are the third largest transfer company in the world, and Tata and UAE Federal Bank. That was a really great new partner in India. Unimoni, the Saudi British bank, that also was a really great announcement, but that's just a handful. And I think that there are many new partners that we just don't know about. And I think that when you look at this one too, this is a pilot that started in February, and they're piloting XRP and the Corda Settler by R3 with 50 banks to manage their intraday liquidity. And it replaced the centralized database that they were using, and they had already sent 1 billion US dollars over this R3 platform with these 50 banks that were onboarded, and they are in the middle of this XRP pilot. Now, we are still yet to hear how the pilot went. So February, March, April, May, we're just really into the third month. How long do they need? I don't know, but I do think most everyone forgot about this pilot. I have not forgotten, because this could be a huge win should these banks not only find that XRP works for their intraday trading, but you can imagine the number of banks that will be onboarded in addition to the 50. So I think recently we've had a lot of holding back of information. So here I was just going to point out, these were the new 13 financial institutions that we most recently learned about, and the customers that are using XRP to source liquidity on demand. So I think that, people want to know all the time what's happening with the price. What's happening with the price? Well, I don't believe there is any suppression of price. I really don't. I think that there is a holding back of information and announcements, and that has really caused the retail investors to not be fully aware of all of the updates and all of the growth and all of the fast forward movement that is occurring. There's a lot going on the OTC market, that's for sure. That is without doubt. But in order to see a lot of this price impact and change, it really, really does, until we see, the thousands of banks that need to be using XRP for liquidity. It's going in the right direction. I'm going to tell you, I will be the first person to say this is not working if I see that the company's not making progress, but the company's making very good, very solid progress. And the last time that we saw the price go to just nearly $4, it was through the retail investors that were so excited about being able to make some quick money. And I think that a lot of those investors were not into really following Ripple as a company and seeing how the financial institutions were really using XRP as liquidity. I think those people were speculators. They weren't interested in technology, and they kind of all came and all left when the price went to its current under $1. So I think that this is the biggest potential moving forward, is that should these announcements be made and the information goes out globally as to the progress that has occurred and who is using XRP in a big way, then I think you're going to see also, with the market in general moving up, we have a chance to see that great impact of price again. So I just kind of wanted to just give a little bit of a narrative on that, because that question comes up very often in the comment section, and that's just how I feel. And that from my everyday research that I do on Ripple and XRP, I think I'm probably pretty right on. Okay, everybody, let's go to the fluff. So somebody in the XRP community in Japan found this piece of furniture. It's great, isn't it? I don't know where it is. I just don't know. It looks like a commercial space. I don't think it's a residence. Anyway, the person who posted it didn't cite exactly where this picture was taken, but that is so fun, isn't it? And that just gave me some inspiration to talk about a very old company in Kyoto. This is a company that for 5 generations has been making traditional umbrellas. Now, in 1868, there were 200 manufacturers of these umbrellas in Kyoto. Now there is just one, and this is the company here. It's called Hiyoshiya, and it's actually it's interesting. I love the stories of businesses that reinvent themselves. So today, with the falling sales that they had, and they were on the verge of closing down, they had a person step in who came in from outside the family. Usually these family businesses are passed down to immediate family, but this president actually married into the family, and he took the company into a new direction. He didn't forget their roots. He still makes the traditional umbrella, which is the bamboo covered with Japanese paper called washi. It's a handmade paper. It's a very painstakingly handcrafted item. It's made one by one. Then they cover the paper in linseed oil to waterproof it from the rain, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. And it really is something that I think is symbolic of Japan. But what he did is he created this line of lamps called kotori. And I have 2 of them from Kyoto, and you can get them too because they have distributors all over the world. But I want to share with you how beautiful they are. I have this one here, and they also come in a variety of colors. Is that not stunning? They come in a tabletop version or a version that's a little taller that sits on the floor. And look at the hanging style. I mean, it's just so fabulous. I just can't say enough about them. I want to show you also. Here is this style, and look at this. So this is showing the bamboo, but not the paper. I think it's just stunning. Anyway, they are just more than beautiful. And if you look, it ships very easy. So they actually fold like an umbrella and then open up and become a shade. So you get them with a light kit, and you can hang them, or you can get their tabletop version. It's just so Japanese. And if you put in the word kotori and just search on Google, you can see all these great, beautiful styles. Okay, everybody, that's all I have for you today. Do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.